Body shot. Ooh, that hurt, didn't it?
When the adrenaline starts pumping and you know what you can do with this right hand, it's hard to not do that.
Here are your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
What's going on, folks? Welcome back to another episode of the Bloody Water Podcast. UFC Vegas 58 is upon us, and we have a once canceled, twice canceled, but now finally here, a main event between the legend RDA Rafael Dos Anjos and Rafael Fiziev fighting out of Tiger Muay Thai, Muay Thai specialist right there. Very interesting crossing of the roads, I guess I should say, because if you think about an established veteran, a former champion, a former title challenger, Rafael Dos Anjos, he's done everything. He's fought at welterweight, he's fought at lightweight, he's back at lightweight. But now you have the new generation, if you want to call it, the Rafael Fizievs of the world, the new lightweight breeds, the Mateusz Gamrots, all of those folks coming up right now. This is the crossroads. Are we in with the new, out with the old, or with the old chiseled vet, RDA? Keep himself around. I think we need a lot to talk about today, or we have a lot to talk about today. But before anything, folks, you know what I need to do. I need to bring in my co-host, the New Mexico native, the Santa Fe Bomber. My man is looking for a little bit of a hotter streak than he was on last week, but still back to his winning ways. AJ, how you feeling, bro?
I'm feeling good, brother. Like you said, looking for a hotter streak, but the good news is this is a new week, brother. So we back to it. This is a fight we've been looking forward to for a very long time, man. Fiziev is one hell of a striking, stylistically that he brings to the table. And RDA, man, there's some saying he's drinking from that fountain of youth. There's some saying he's an old dog ready to go out to pasture, man. This guy, either way, he's ready for a war, and I'm excited for the fights this weekend, brother. You excited?
I am very, very excited, especially given RDA's last performance against Renato Moicano. Yes, it went 5 rounds. Yes, Moicano did kind of storm back in his own way, but that was more or less a 5-round beatdown, more or less, you know what I mean? RDA put in his work, and that's what's impressive, man, because the dude, I mean, he's 37 years old, brother, and I'm not trying to say once you get to that age you can't compete anymore, but you're 37 and you're still handling top-notch competitors like Moicano. Okay, that speaks for something for sure. Let's not forget, the win before that was a win against Paul Felder. Yes, it was short notice, but I mean, come on, that's the Iron Lung right there. Come on, the Irish Dragon. AJ, man, not to worry. You're still in the lead, 80-42 on the year. I am 78-44 on the year myself. So it goes to show, man, we still have what are we in July right now? So this is 7 months in. 5 more months in the year. This is probably closer of a throughout the year, closer than this was ever last year, right? We're neck and neck the whole entire way. And it's kind of a beautiful thing to see, man, because we're challenging each other. We're making sure we double checking on the picks. We're trying to win ourselves a contest, but we're trying to win you folks at home money. So just remember, this is your go-to destination for all things wagering, sports betting, analysis, recap, the whole nine. And before I talk about a poster review or we dive into TLDR or anything like that, I do want to highlight something that I have here at the bottom, folks. If you see that right there, do us a favor. 399 subscribers. We're right there. We're literally right there. We need one more of you to get us to that 400 number. And then if you just remember, AJ, it wasn't just but a couple of weeks ago. I was saying get us to 500, right? Look at how quickly the people who tune in every week, how they perform for us, man. How not perform, but how they deliver. What do you think, brother?
Man, it's impressive, bro. We were in, I think it was 2 weeks ago, we were talking 385. We're like, we still got a little bit of room. Thank you, folks, for doing it, because, it's jumping up like crazy. I actually saw Derick put the little logo on today. I was like, damn, 399. All right, here we go. And like I said, thanks to all the people, because, Derick, you put it the best, man. We might be having a competition between ourselves on those numbers right down there below, but really what we're doing is trying to win you some money. So all those 400 people right there making some cash, you got to spread it out to your friends and let them know where to get the best money moves going on YouTube, man, right over here.
100%, folks. So whether you're doing FanDuel, whether you're doing DraftKings, whether you're out here in Vegas rocking with William Hill, Nevada, it does not matter. Go to your local sports book and run it up, because we got some great picks for you this week. One more subscriber, folks. Just do us a solid. YouTube.com/FreeThinkersClub. Now, AJ, I'm feeling focused today, brother. I'm feeling hyped up. I'm feeling ready to go. And I had to prove it with my Alexander the Great t-shirt going on. Fresh off a title defense, my man. I'm feeling like a GOAT right now. I'm feeling like I got something to prove. I feel like a champion, but I still feel like the challenger. You know what I'm saying? So let's talk about a poster review and let's get into this stuff, because I could hardly wait at this point. But I think all that energy I had is going to die down just a little bit, really, because I don't know what the hell I'm looking at right here. Rafael Dos Anjos, real legend of the game. Rafael Fiziev, this is a long-awaited matchup, and this is what we did for the poster, huh? You're a brand new UFC fighter, hypothetically, AJ. Brand new. This is your UFC debut. You're signing the autographs because, they autograph every single one of the posters and whatnot to go and resell. And this is the poster of your UFC debut. Are you disappointed? Are you sad? Are you happy? How are you feeling? What are you seeing and what are you scoring?
Man, it's rough because we always try to give points for creativity. You know what I'm saying? Like the creativity, I give a little bit of leeway. And the further away you look at this poster, the worse it gets. You know what I'm saying? Like the closer I got, usually it's opposite. Usually I looked in close. I like the eyes of both the fighters. I like the red. I like the style they're going for. But that's about it, man. This is a weird one. This is a strange one. I'd be a little I would try to not focus. If this is the first fight and I'm in this one, I was winning focus on the poster. Be like, no, we don't have a poster. Don't worry about it. It's strange. Don't trip. Man, the way Fiziev's looking like an elf. They got RDA. I don't know. It's an interesting one, Derick. I'm giving this one a 6, man. What about you?
After all that you just said, I'm really surprised you went with that number, my man. I agree with you. I think that they try when being creative goes wrong. This is what this poster is. When being creative goes wrong. So you have RDA looking, I mean, he's looking sharp, man. He's looking actually good right here. You got the thunder striking type pattern that's kind of throwing everything off because Rafael Fiziev, I do agree, he looks like a disgruntled elf. He looks like a disgruntled, like a what do you call those things from Lord of the Rings, man? Orc? Yeah, there we go. I think an orc. He looks like one of those guys. He looks like a gremlin out of a scary movie. And not even like a scary movie, but one of those like B-rated, you know what I mean? Just like it's funny. It's supposed to be scary, but it's funny. That's how he looks. That's how I feel about this. I don't like it. I don't think that this is representative of what this main event or this card is going to be in totality. I think if you're literally searching through Fight Pass history and you're just looking at posters and you're like, I'm going to judge off the poster, how banging is this card? You're going to skip this every time and you're going to miss out on some great fights. Brother, I am giving this a 1. Worst score I've ever given it. I'm giving it a 1. You're lucky I didn't get a 0 because let's just say that's how I feel about it. So folks, if you're just listening, you don't even need to go and look at this post. Don't even look it up. Just trust us. AJ gives it a 6. I give it a 1. I think, if you average that out, that's like, what, a 3 something? I don't know. But we're going to take that off, and we're going to get to the TLDR, brother. Let's get it. All right, my man, UFC Vegas 58, this is the betting sheet. And folks, one thing that you will notice this week as opposed to other weeks is that there is very little contention here. Your co-main event, that is the lone point of contention. But aside from that, we have locks across the board. Folks, remember, it is going to be a little bit of a chalky week, but that is neither here nor there. Now, AJ, brother, listen, Rafael Fiziev, we're thinking he's going to get it done in the main event. Now, I'm a little surprised, and this is just for the folks who are listening, who are watching. Obviously, you've seen our opinions transform over the years. You've seen our opinions just kind of shift here and there. But there's one thing that you'll never alter on or you'll never differ on, and that is having love for RDA, man. So how hard was it to pick Fiziev over RDA this week?
Man, it was rough. Remember, we always talk about those fights, Derick, where you want both people to win. You're a fan of both fighters. I'm a huge fan of RDA, man. Like, huge fan. It's going back, 10 years? How long has this dude been fighting? Literally since day one, seeing RDA come in and willing to scrap up and jump up to 170 and handle his business, I knew RDA is an absolute killer. Now, going against him, man, you saw the TLDR. I'm picking Fiziev because this dude is an absolute animal. I think the striking is going to be on point. If the grappling gets going, I don't know what's going to happen. But, man, this is it was a rough one, man. This is a dagger to the heart for me to have to choose Fiziev. But I went Holloway last week for, the fan in me. This week, then, man, I had to change things up, Derick. That number's getting a little too close for comfort in that score, so I had to change it up, man. But you're right, Derick. This one was a hard one, man. How you feeling? I'm kind of interested why you're choosing Caio, Borralho, to be honest. I know we're going to talk about it soon, but that Armen Petrosyan fight is going to be a very interesting one, man.
Well, you would think if you do like MMA math, MMA logic, right, that I'd be all over Armen Petrosyan because he just had a big win over Gregory Rodriguez, and in my book, that speaks volumes, brother. But I bet against Caio Borralho in his last outing, man. Really thinking that Omar Gadzhiev would get the job done. Good grappler, man. Good kickboxer, right? And Caio Borralho just goes to show, man. His Dana White Contender Series, even though he got a decision win over a very fantastic opponent in Aaron Jeffries, right? It was like a top-notch opponent. He had to get on Dana White Contender Series again just to get a UFC shot. Everybody was kind of writing him off for that reason, and that's why I'm like, let me learn from my mistakes this time around, as opposed to repeating the same old mistakes. So basically the same philosophy you're taking. You're like, I went Max Holloway for the fan in me. I'm not going to bet against Caio Borralho. I have no vendetta against him. I just think he has more ways to win. And that's really the more or less the summary of why I'm picking him over Armen Petrosyan. Yes, you have a former Fight Nights global champion. Yeah, you have a former Muay Thai champion. Yeah, but Caio Borralho just has more ways to win. And that's really it, man. As for the other picks that we have here, and then we'll just move straight into our sleepers and all that good stuff, AJ. Talk to me, my man. We got locks on Said Nurmagomedov, Jared Vanderaa, Nina Nunes, and Jamie Mullarkey. And I'm not going to lie to you, the one that I am feeling the least confident about is Nina Nunes. So talk about that one real quick, brother.
I was right there with you, brother. That's the one I feel a little shifty on, but both on losing streaks, both kind of trying to find their rhythm of what, who the fighter they are, especially in today's fight style that both Calvillo, and Nina Nunes have to fight on. There's a lot of toss-up that can happen, man. There's a lot of, moving and shaking that can go down. Has Nina Nunes grown from where she was previously? Because she's training with the Lioness. She's training one of the GOATs in the division. Is Cynthia Calvillo back to her ways, man? She's on a rough losing streak. There's a lot of different ways in which this one is, and that makes it more tumultuous in which we're making to choose. You know what I'm saying? So I agree with you. That's the one I feel most iffy about, if you will, but it's going to be a great fight nonetheless.
And folks, really quickly, I just wanted to pull this up while AJ was kind of giving his great description of the Nina Nunes Cynthia Calvillo fight. We'll talk about that in depth in just one second, but just know we're rocking with Nina Nunes. If you wanted me to prove that AJ is a real deal RDA fan, check this out, folks. Look at that, my man. Come on, bro. This is when you caught him. This was out in California, yeah?
This is out of California. Homeboy used to train, or he probably still does train at the old gym I used to work at, man. The crazy thing, I'm about an inch taller than RDA. He's probably got about 20 pounds on me. This dude is stacked, jacked, ready for a war, man. And
that's right.
Made it even harder for me to choose against RDA, bro.
That's right. So just going to show, man, these are the difficult decisions that you do have to make sometimes. You might got all love for a fan, right? Or for a fighter. You're a big fan, all that good stuff. But when it comes down to putting money in your pocket, you got to do the right thing, man. And that's speaking logically and not emotionally. Now, last thing, folks, before we get up out of here and move on. Jamie Mullarkey, that's a big lock. Jared Vanderaa, big lock. Said Nurmagomedov, big lock. Rafael Fiziev, major lock. Those are your that's your betting sheet for UFC Vegas 58. So run to your local sports book and cash those picks in. And don't forget, you could watch us at youtube.com/freethinkersclub or listen on all major streaming services. Now, AJ, I think it is about time that we move on from all of this shenanigans, all the nonsense, and we jump into some sleepers because we have some good ones this week. Let's get it, brother.
It's time for some fight night.
If you ain't paying attention, you're gonna sleep on me and I'm gonna wake you up.
Okay, AJ, so we actually got some real banging sleepers on our hands this week. I'd have to say so myself. And I do think that it's only fair that when we talk about this, we just kind of bring it up and we go to show these are the sleepers, brother. So talk to me, my man. Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Karl Roberson. This is going to be a fun fight, my man. This is your sleeper, correct?
This is going to be a very fun fight, correct? This is my sleeper, Derick, and there's a lot of fights on the prelims that I was looking at. Not a lot of names that get unknown. So don't get me wrong. Usually we choose sleepers where people are sleeping on these fights. Nobody knows who these guys are, but it's going to be a banger. I chose this sleeper fight specifically because someone is going to sleep, man. Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Karl Roberson. The crazy thing is, I feel like a lot more people are sleeping on Roberson, even though he's a vet in the game, man. And this dude comes with some absolute heat, bombs in both of these dudes' hands, man. We all know about Kennedy Nzechukwu. This dude's come onto the scene and made a name for himself. And it goes to show because he's fighting a hell of a fighter like Karl Roberson, man. You go and look at these dudes. Roberson, he's had a pretty storied career. And Nzechukwu, he's going to be on that exact same path going forward in his future. And like I said, I chose this sleeper strictly for the entertainment factor of someone is going to sleep. It's going to be a fun fight to watch. Derick, you excited for this fight?
Brother, I am very, very excited for this fight. And I just wanted to run through. I mean, look at the stats right here, man. 30 years old versus 31 years old. You got a Fortis MMA versus Killer Bee Combat Sports. Those are two good gyms right there. But here's the big discrepancy. You have a 6'5" Kennedy Nzechukwu versus 6'1" Karl Roberson. 83-inch reach to 74-inch reach. So, while I'm excited of the kickboxing prospects of a Karl Roberson, I'm very worried here because I do think you're coming off a major loss. I mean, look at this, 3 in a row, right? Khalil Roundtree really gave it to him. I picked for Roberson in this one. But Kennedy Nchekwu, who lost 2 straight to Da Eun-jung and Nick Nigomedianu, very close fight on that last one, man. You know, Nchekwu is going to have something to prove right here. I think this fight can get finished in the distance, brother, if I am being honest with you. So just know, folks, that is going to be a very, very fun fight. Now, AJ, brother, I have a sleeper that is not necessarily in the same mixture of what you have. I think you have a very exciting fight on your hands right here. I have more of what you were talking about, like who is this guy exactly? And the fight that I want to talk about today is, here, let me bring it up, folks. We have Ronnie Lawrence versus Saiyokub Kakhramonov. And I'm going to be honest with you folks right now. If you do not know who Ronnie Lawrence is, clearly you have not been watching prelim fights on these fight night cards, because this is a dude who slowly but surely came onto the Contender Series, decision win, domination. UFC debut, Vince Cachero finished him, domination. And then you get back to your winning ways against Mana Martinez, a very, very crafty and very, very legitimate striker, and you dominate and decision him. You make it look easy. However, what is more impressive than a Saiyokub saying, oh, Trevin Jones, that dude who has a win over Timur Valiev, or I guess, you know, once was a win, got overturned because of marijuana, but you basically beat Timur Valiev, one of the best to do it, no longer in the UFC, but nonetheless, oh, well, that's fine. I'm just going to submit the dude who did that to you. So, AJ, my man, when we ask these types of questions, we do have to take into consideration 1-0, big win in your UFC debut, cool. Now you're fighting a dude who's really smash style, a great wrestler, Ronnie Lawrence, who has something to prove here. My question to you is, who do you think has the mental advantage going into this? The dude who with the bigger profile win, or the dude with more quality wins in the UFC?
Man, it's a hard one to see, because I feel like it's Saiyokub. Saiyokub Kakhramonov is on a tear. Well, and not, it's only a 1-fight win in the UFC, but if you know to the undergrounds, you go to the people who are doing the stuff, moving and shaking and behind the scenes, they are all about Saiyokub. But going against Ronnie Lawrence, man, you said it yourself, Derick. If you don't know who this dude is, you're not watching the prelims, because he's a killer. He's a killer, and he's willing to fight the entire fight at the exact same speed, keep the pace up. I kind of lean a little bit more towards Lawrence has a little bit more of a mental advantage because of that background and that fight style he has. But man, I like Saiyokub in this contest, man. It's going to be a very fun one. You said it's still not in the vein of it might be a fun fight. Sure, we might see a little bit more wrestling, but I think it's going to be entertaining to watch these two go at it, man.
This is a fight fan's fight right here. Like, this is a true bona fide. I love violence. I love technical grappling. I love mixed martial arts, not swing and bang, but mixed martial arts. This is the fight for you. And it's the first fight of the night. So, me and AJ always say the first fight of the night, if you're placed there for a reason. That means the company messes with you, man, in a good way for sure. So those are 2 sleepers right there. Of course, we have plenty of great prelim fights to talk about in just one moment. But before we do that, we got to get straight to the joints, right? Let's talk about the main card. Let's talk about this main event, man. Let's get it.
Here's to another main card breakdown, courtesy of your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
Okay, AJ, the over and under is 4.5 rounds right here. Rafael Dos Anjos, versus Rafael Fiziev, man. Rafael versus Rafael. Rafael. Come on, listen, man. It's going to be a tongue twister for the commentary all night long. But what's important here is truly veteran, real veteran versus striking veteran, but MMA newcomer more or less, my man. I just want your thoughts off the bat. So we have a plus 180 line for Rafael Dos Anjos, minus 210 for Rafael Fiziev. What do you make of that betting line off the jump?
I mean, it's everybody saw, and it's kind of a little crazy. It's not closer because of Rafael Dos Anjos. We're just gonna say RDA because I'm gonna keep messing up the R's and the Hoffs. RDA's last fight, how he handled himself, man. I'm kind of surprised that the betting line is a little bit closer. But Fiziev, man, this dude, this way he strikes, especially training at Tiger Muay Thai, Petrosyan, all the whole background he has, I think everybody's very, very hyped on what Fiziev has to do. I'm not surprised he's the favorite, but I am surprised it's this big of a gap. So there might be some live dog status right there for RDA.
I do think RDA is a very clear underdog play. Hedge your bet, if anything, man. You got to throw a little something on RDA just because you never know what can happen. But I do think a big reason why the betting line is what it is because just look at the difference between the Moicano fights between both of these fighters. When Fiziev fought him, he knocked him out in the first round. When RDA fought him, he dominated him with a lot of good wrestling. But we did see Moicano kind of storm back in his own way to where the win got diminished towards rounds 4 and 5, which theoretically theoretically, AJ, those are supposed to be the rounds that RDA shined in the most. You know, RDA has about 10 5-round fights to his name throughout his career. He has experience, and I think that's the other issue. So let me ask you that. How much of a factor do you think that's going to play in this matchup? We know Fiziev could bring it rounds 1, 2, and 3. I mean, if you look at his last 5, he only has 2 finishes, 3 decision wins. So he can do 3 rounds no problem and look fresh more or less all 3 rounds. But we don't really know what he looks like rounds 4 and 5. Is that the opportunity for RDA to take over, or do you think RDA needs to get out to an early, fast start if he wants to have success in this matchup?
I think RDA needs to be able to weather that striking storm. If you've ever done any striking or any you even listen to the commentary talk about big movements or kicks or stuff like that, it does drain the gas tank a lot more when you're throwing this big limb around trying to hurt somebody, start doing some spinning stuff, trying to set up your things. That's going to be Fiziev rounds 1 through 3. Trying to set things up, go big kicks, be on that front foot, or be on the back foot, light front foot, and just attacking. It does drain the gas tank. Now RDA, I mean, the one bad part I see about this, RDA, he's got an ego. You know, he's down for the brawl. He's down to put a showtime, you know, experience for everybody. And it can lead to some downfall. But I expect him to also come in and wrestle a little bit, which also drains the gas tank. So I think if he starts off slow, gets, you know, a good base to him, shows Fiziev that the fight is going to take place on the ground as well. We're not just going to be striking. I think that'll be able to drain that gas tank, and we'll see a better rounds 3 through 5 for RDA.
Okay, that's fair. And I guess you basically led to my next question, which was, do you think RDA will even have any success in the wrestling? Yes, he is a phenomenal wrestler, phenomenal jiu-jitsu. Rafael Fiziev has only been taken down once in his, 6 UFC appearances, and that once was a split-second takedown in his last fight against Brad Riddell, which he immediately grabbed a whizzer. He went to a tripod, all the technical things you're supposed to do, and he got back up. Like, Brad Riddell literally let him go and said, all right, let's get back up to the feet, because he knew he was in a position to where, all right, this is what it is, man. So that's the question. Can RDA effectively wrestle him, or do you think it would be not advantageous of him because just the gassing out thing you were just talking about? He could drain his own gas tank there.
It's a double-edged sword, and the bad thing is, you said it, man, Fiziev is very, very, very good at stuffing takedowns, and even if he does get taken down, like you said, against a killer like Brad Riddell, who's amazing on the ground, he's able to post up and get to his feet when the other guy knows, like, oh, okay, I'm not in a position where we can actually get this going. It's hard, man. Yeah. So, I mean, I want RDA to get things to the ground. I don't know if RDA is going to be able to get things to the ground. Do you feel the same, or you think he's able to do it?
But I think that's why the betting line is what it is, because I don't think people are confident. The odds makers, I don't think they're confident that RDA could do that, because that's his path to victory. Hold Rafael Fiziev down for 5 rounds. Like, literally, that's your path to victory. If you're Rafael Fiziev, if you could stuff a takedown, if you could pull a Chris Curtis and just stuff the takedown to keep it standing, it's going to be difficult, man. And the reason why is because RDA is very crafty on the feet, has that rear leg body kick out of that southpaw stance that's nasty. But Fiziev, he's a switch stance fighter, always switching stances, and he sits down when he throws. That's the difference right there. Fiziev could fight forwards, he could fight backwards, but he's most effective when he's downhill, really sitting down on those shots. So if he gets RDA back against the cage, right, clinches him up a little bit, steps back, throws in the elbow, throwing the big hooks and all that good stuff, RDA has only been knocked out 3 times in his illustrious, brother, over 40-fight career, almost 45-fight career. Do we see a finish in this fight?
Man, I honestly don't think so. I mean, maybe, because the striking of Fiziev is very, very talented. And the scary part about him, his combos are long. And on those last couple shots, that's where he really sits down and puts the power to it, man. Very dangerous kick. So I can see a knockout happening. I'm not predicting it. I think this one's going to the judges. I think, like you said, RDA is a very weathered, gritty, old school veteran fighter, and I don't think he's going to put enough holes in his game to be able to for Fiziev to exploit them. I'm not seeing a KO, although it could happen. You know, anything's possible. We see it down there. They're looking the TKO prop, for Fiziev is the same prop for RDA or close to it, something like that. I can't even read that far.
We're plus
100 off or so, but still, either way, better than his opponent's decision prop, man. It's kind of insane. There could be a knockout. I'm not calling for it though. Are you?
Yeah, so I think it's difficult because on one hand, it's hard to imagine RDA fighting Fiziev and then just getting starched out. You're like, look at the last 5 he's fought. Kevin Lee, Leon Edwards, Michael Chiesa, Paul Felder, Renato Moicano, right? The whole key is that he was able to go up to another weight class, go up to 170 and still have success. He went 4-4 at welterweight. So it's a wash. It's not like you got your ass kicked a bunch. He had some great wins. So for Fiziev to come in, yeah, he's a powerhouse Muay Thai guy, but to just knock him out, I find it a little hard to believe. So I understand you're taking the over here and you're rocking with the decision for Fiziev, and I think that the decision is a fair play, brother, honestly, because there's 2 ways that I see this fight going out. One is a decision on the end of Fiziev. The other one could be a decision on the end of RDA, but what I like a little more than that is look at that plus 600 submission prop right there, bro. RDA has 10 submission wins under his belt, never been submitted himself. What are the odds that he can just put the backpack on Fiziev? Because that could happen, man. Brad Riddell was very close to being able to just hop on his back right there, put the body lock around him, and then start working that rear naked choke, man. I can see that in the realm of possibility. I just kind of wonder here, AJ, why the TKO prop for RDA is plus 1,000. The submission prop is plus 600, and the decision is plus 325. I'm just kind of in awe that the numbers are so astronomically high. Do you feel me with that?
I feel you with that, Derick. I think they're just hating on my boy RDA. That's for those props, man. Because that TK, when I saw plus 1,000, that's exactly what went to my mind. Is that they just hating on my boy, man. Because when you're striking with the striker, there are holes to be presented. Oh, yeah. And especially if somebody goes in with his ego, we saw what happened to Sean Strickland last week. Fiziev comes in with the same aspect where he's like, oh, I'm going to bang on this dude. That can happen, man. You can get put to sleep, especially with a veteran like RDA. Or, like you said, he can jump on. The chaos happens. You overextend. Next thing you know, you got a backpack on you with the dude with his hand under your chin. That plus 600, one of those I could see hedging your bet on being a nice outcome for you for sure.
And I was going to say the same exact thing. I'm rocking with Rafael Fiziev decision victory here against the legend in RDA. But if I'm hedging my bet, I'm not only just picking an RDA plus 180 for the RDA money line. Like I throw $5 on a plus 180 money line, but I would also throw $5 on that plus 600 submission right there. Just because, man, that's $10, man. If you have $200 to play with, that's nothing for you right there. It's a good hedge of your bet right there. So Rafael Fiziev decision victory, and that is your main card right there, folks. Now, AJ, this is the point of contention between us right here. Caio Borralho versus Armen Petrosyan. First off, I think it's very impressive that alone 2 fighters who are 2-0 in the UFC combined, right, coming off of their first UFC victories, respectively, get thrown into a co-main event. It's a little confusing to me because when I look at the other just tickets on the card, I guess if you want to call it, man. You're looking at the Said Nurmagomedov versus Douglas Silva de Andrade, even Cynthia Calvillo versus Nina Nunes. Now I know that's probably not going to be super exciting, but name value, it's like, okay, that's a co-main. Even Aiemann Zahabi versus Ricky Turcios. Like, you got a lot of different names you could play with. That Kennedy and Cheku versus Carl Roberson, brother, that's your sleeper. I mean, that could be a co-main if you're like talking about violence, right? But nonetheless, this is where we're at. And we do have a very interesting matchup. You have a kind of interesting karate striker in Caio Borralho that also has wicked jiu-jitsu, man. Free spirit tatted across the neck. My man is game. Then you got a Muay Thai specialist, a great striker in Armen Petrosyan, who you'll notice, AJ, actually has a higher ranking in Tapology, nonetheless, has a higher ranking than Caio Borralho. So I find it a little bit interesting because I think that even though he's higher ranked and all that, even though he might be more talented in one aspect of the game, the striking, Caio Borralho is just more well-rounded. He just has more paths to victory throughout the course of a fight. And the one thing that is always going to be difficult about a Muay Thai striker or anybody who is just like flat-footed, you know what I mean, really trying to bring it, sit down on their shots, is when you're fighting a grappler, it's hard to sit down on those shots without the threat of the takedown. What makes you confident about Armen Petrosyan being able to pick up a victory against Caio Borralho in this matchup, AJ?
Man, because Caio Borralho is down for a war. If you watch his last fight against Gadzi Omargadzhiev, he's not the one that got the takedowns.
Yeah.
Gadzi was the one shooting in, getting things going, and then Caio was able to, hit a switch, or even on the second takedown, he just kind of fell on top of him. I'm interested to see how well Caio is at initiating the takedown against a striker. Also, to that point, though, I see an ego battle coming here, man. I see a big dude who's been, highly touting himself up to the UFC brass, saying, I deserve these shots. You guys made me fight at the Contender Series twice. I deserve to be on this trajectory of the stars. Now he's co-main event. Now the pressure's on. The lights are real. You know, he's fighting later on in the day. All that time given to kind of stress out a little bit. It's the same thing for Armen Petrosyan though, except he's been a little less vocal about his needs and his wants. So therefore, he doesn't have as much, you know, camera pressure on him. He's kind of still doing his things. There's a lot of pressure, don't get me wrong, but I do feel like we might see an ego battle here. We might see two dudes step in and say, this is my ring. I'm going to put my foot here and ain't nothing you're going to do about it. And that, to me, leads a little bit more towards Petrosyan. I mean, he's a hell of a striker. Kicks are amazing. Utilizes, you know, powerful jab. Utilizes the kicks like crazy, which could lead to a takedown from Borralho. But I don't know if I see that, man. Do you see Caio coming in and working the ground game, or is he going to be, you know, striking with Petrosyan? We're going to see a kick battle or a kickboxing match right here.
I think that we're going to see a little mixture of both, to be honest with you. But I do think that Caio Borralho, if he's smart, he's going to say, I'm going to do the correct thing. Is I'm going to grapple with this guy. He's a Muay Thai champion. Why am I going to sit here and bang with him? It's literally going, Sean Strickland, I'm fighting a world-class kickboxer. Let me just kickbox with the dude and not do anything else. Like I think we're learning from our lessons here. So I do think that the takedown is going to be imminent there. If you see, he averages almost 2 takedowns per fight. But here's the big difference that I wanted to take a look at here, AJ. Caio Borralho, he's 5'10" with a 75-inch reach, 4-inch reach advantage over Petrosyan, who is 6'3". With a 71-inch reach. So super tall, super interesting because you're going to have to be punching up at him, but your arms are longer and you have the karate style. So speaking from a guy who's coming from a karate background, you know that you're longer than your reach, basically than what your listed reach is. You're longer than that because if you're a karate guy, you have that leaping and attack that makes you longer already, but he uses a lot of front kicks and teep kicks to kind of initiate his hands, right? So it's not all just like kick, that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to close the distance with the kick and then get into punching range, throwing a couple strikes, then hop back out. Karate, man. Wonder Boy Thompson style, brother. What do you make of it?
Well, and Caio has an amazing blitz style, man.
Yeah.
That karate, it's a thing, man, because when he's bouncy and he has his timing, he can blitz in on you and you don't even realize until he's in your face throwing the ones and twos and the elbows and everything, man. I do like his blitz style just, you know, off of my own preference. But to a technical kickboxer, you can see that. You can see when they're bouncing, when things are going. You can get the timing going. I don't really know if it's going to pan out well for him. That's what I was a little concerned for the style of fight that Borralho has. As good of a ground game specialist as he is, he knows that the fans and the brass want to see something exciting. So that's really where I get, you know, that's where the trouble lies. I think the crowd and everything's going to will this dude into a standing battle against an absolute killer, man.
Well, I will just say this, man, because I do agree with what you're saying. Like, you're not off on these points here, but let's just take a look at this, man. When you look at, let me see, why are we not scrolling down? Okay, it won't let me scroll down, folks. So sorry. Can you even see that? No. You can't. All right. I'll just let you know then. Sorry about that, folks. Basically, Armen Petrosyan, he's been taken down 5 times in his 2 UFC bouts, Dana White Contender Series and his UFC debut. He won both fights, but he was taken down 5 times. So given that he has been taken down 5 times in 2 short bouts right here, man, I think the odds of him hitting the ground pretty high here. So let's talk props, AJ. If you're a Caio Borralho, you have a couple of different options. You could work the submission prop, plus 250, decision looking at plus 240. If you're Armen Petrosyan, that TKO prop is pretty juicy, that plus 240 TKO prop, which is interesting. They both have the same TKO prop. I find that a little interesting. But the big key is plus 475 for a decision for Armen Petrosyan. So odds makers are saying that we need a finish if you're betting on Petrosyan, and if you're Caio Borralho, decision is the most likely outcome. But look, submission is just 10 points higher than a decision right there. So we're really looking at a decision or a submission. For Petrosyan, since you're rolling that way, how do you see this getting done?
I was with the odds makers in this one. I see a decision or a TKO coming from Petrosyan. I mean, we might be able to see a submission coming from Borralho, and that could be there. And if you're taking Borralho, I assume you're going to take a prop over all of those instead of the minus 190 favorite. But I mean, Petrosyan, that KO is looking a little juicy. It is a safe bet to go with just a money line, but man, I'm looking for a KO. I'm thinking round 2. I think that's going to be the bet I'm placing. Yeah, what about you?
You got to talk to me though, man. Over and under is 1.5 rounds. So when you're going round 2, the question now becomes you have to hit over 7 minutes and 30 seconds for that prop to hit on the over or the under. What are you picking?
I'm going over. I'm going to go over. Give him a little bit more time. We might see some scrambles. We might see some stuff going on. I'm going to take the over, man.
Okay. And you know what, man? even though this is something that I can totally see happening, like that prop is so juicy, it's right there. I think that Armen Petrosyan, we cannot discount this man. I mean, look at him. If he's never been submitted in his career, you know what I mean? So I'm sure everybody has had the same plan. Take him down, submit him. He's this great striker. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt here, and I'm actually going to roll with the Caio decision victory right here, that plus 240. That's a lot juicier than that minus 190 favorite. And to be honest with you, I do think that Armen Petrosyan, given that he was taken down by Gregory Rodriguez multiple times and he gave up his back against Gregory Rodriguez and didn't get submitted, speaks volumes, because Gregory Rodriguez is a legit black belt right there. So I'll take the over. You're taking the over. I'm going decision for Borralho, and you're going TKO for Petrosyan. So it's something to definitely watch out for, but that is going to be a very fun co-main event. Now, the rest of the picks that we have here more or less are locks here, so let's just kind of break it down a little bit, AJ. Douglas Silva de Andrade versus Said Nurmagomedov. First and foremost, I have to say I'm very happy that Nurmagomedov is getting this step up in opposition. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say that the people he's fought before weren't legit opponents. I mean, you got Mark Striegel, Heoni Barcelos, Javi Ramos. You know what I mean? You got big names here, AJ. But this is a proven veteran right here, Douglas Silva de Andrade, who in his last fight against Sergey Morozov pulled off almost the miraculous. He pulled off the inevitable right there to come get his second submission victory of his career. Now, you're fighting a very well-rounded Said Nurmagomedov, bro, who can wrestle, who can defend takedowns, who can strike, who can do everything, right? So the question becomes, if you're a knockout artist in Douglas Silva de Andrade, what is your game plan here? Do you try to wrestle with him? Do you try to just take his back and control him? Because that is definitely an option on the table right there. He did it against Morozov, and if you could do it against a great wrestler like that, I'm sure you could do it against Nurmagomedov. Or do you think, AJ, that this is just a coming out party type of fight for Nurmagomedov, and this is like a showcase bout? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because I feel like we have a pit bull versus sniper right here. You know, we got the pit bull in Andrade, who I expect to be walking forward, controlling the stuff, stifling the explosive, the striking acumen that Nurmagomedov approaches. And it's crazy to say that you're expecting a guy to go and wrestle in Nurmagomedov, but we're talking about Said right here. You know, we're talking about a striker or a fighter who is more apt to strike and throw flashy, spinning shit all day long, but he still probably has that smash style. Don't get me wrong. I feel like if you're in that lineage of fight style, you've been doing that since day one, you know, just beating up, going smash style, and he's very well-rounded. This one is, I think he has the potential to be a banging, exciting fight because Andrade, man, he can take a wallop and he can take a beating and still keep coming forward. And unlike Andrade's last fight, Nurmagomedov, he's gonna, once the pressure's on, he's not gonna go to the ground and try to get a submission. He's gonna let you stand back up, keep beating you up, keep the work going. Or this could be just a one-sided event, man. That it could either be one or the other, a war, an absolute war, or just an absolute show for Nurmagomedov. And the weird thing is, this is a step up in competition, but it still feels like to me they're taking the slow route for Nurmagomedov. Do you feel that, or you think this is you have a little contention in that one? I feel like it's a slow route for my own sake, because not too many people know who Douglas de Silva de Andrade is. We do, because we're watching these all the time. He's a hell of a fighter, very explosive, powerful, tense in the thing, and he's tense when he's fighting, and then he comes out and bangs on him. But I feel like not a lot of people know who De Silva de Andrade is. I could be mistaken. I could be wrong. That's why I think it's a slow route, and that's why I think this one could be more of a gimme and a handoff. Like, yo, go make a name. Like, go let people know what's up on this one, and keep it rolling. I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong. What do you think?
No, I think you have a point there, because for some reason, man, because what I just pulled up right now is I actually just looked at what are the old fight odds for all of Nurmagomedov's fights. And for whatever reason, maybe I'm confusing him with Umar, but I'm thinking that he's minus 500, minus 700 for a lot of these fights. Actually, not really. This is actually one of his most highly favored fights right here, next to Mark Striegel, which was like kind of minus 400. We're looking at, the minus 350 area right here. And when I take a look back at ESPN, he's currently minus 340. So AJ, man, obviously, folks, let me just make a reminder in case you didn't know. Our odds right here are courtesy of our moneyline odds are courtesy of William Hill, Nevada sports betting right here, the sports book. So we're at minus 260 at open. So you just bubbled up to minus 350? Okay, man. So maybe you're right. Maybe this is not as big of a step up in opposition as people think, or the odds makers think, and they think Nurmagomedov is just going to shine here. I personally just felt like you're giving him A 37-year-old chiseled veteran with 32 career fights, entered the UFC at like 22-0, 20 knockouts. I mean, this is a dude who can grapple and who can knock your head off, so you have to be careful. And you're right, AJ. There is the interesting nature of Douglas Silva de Andrade, who is so tight, controlling the middle of the octagon, feints, everything is tight movements. You know what I mean? He's just like a ball of metal, a ball of steel, who's just ready to crack. But the difference that I see Said Nurmagomedov taking advantage of is he's kind of more flowy, right? Everything he's throwing, he's mixing it together. He's throwing his kicks and his punches together, spinning back fist, come back, spinning back kick, get out of my way. You're too tight, you're too tense. When you're too tight and you're too tense, AJ, you can see your moves coming. You know what I mean? It's not the same as when you're a Roy Jones, who you're just relaxing. Next thing, that left hook comes out of nowhere, So I think that Nurmagomedov could have a field day here. Or, AJ, this could be kind of like the Raonic-Barcelos fight, where it was just very back and forth. And Barcelos gave Nurmagomedov more than he could really chew on at that stage of his career. Clearly, that was his second fight in the UFC. So it's something to think about. But I do like Said Nurmagomedov kind of everywhere the fight takes place, beside if Andrade just takes his back and holds him down for a round. Now, let's talk props, AJ. What stands out the most to you? Let's talk about Andrade's props first. They're giving him no shot, man. Plus 500 TKO, plus 450 submission, or plus 450 decision, plus 1,000 for submission. He just come off of a major submission win with major props that people hit on right there. So you have to take that into consideration. But which one, if you had to choose Andrade, which one would you take?
Ooh, if I had to choose on Andrade, man, I'd probably take, that submission, it sounds so good, but I'd probably take the money line. Just because Nurmagomedov is so well-rounded. I could see a knockout. I don't really see a knockout happening, but it could happen. Also, same thing with submission. You get caught, like in his last fight against Andrade's last fight, where I forget the opponent right now. I don't have it up, but
Sergey Morozov.
Who was it? Against Morozov. Morozov had him hurt. It comes round 2 where Andrade, he ends up hurting Morozov and then gets the back and then gets a submission. And I think that's if we're going to see a submission, I think it's going to be the same kind of thing where the tense nature, you're not really seeing it. And boom, big power shot happens. He gets your back. He's, puts a body triangle on you. Next thing you know, you're tapping out or taking a little nap. Man, I'd probably still take that money line because I just don't see it happening against Nurmagomedov, just to be safe and hedge that bet a little. It's still plus 220, and he can get it done in a multitude of ways. Which one do you think is the best, Derek?
Well, I like the submission.
Which stands out to you? Excuse me.
I like the submission prop at plus 1,000 because Said Nurmagomedov does a lot of spinning attacks. And in his last fight against, who was it? I think it was Raonic-Barcelos, actually. So this was a couple fights ago. He threw a spinning back kick and missed on the back kick. So then Barcelos just took his back and just held him down for the rest of the round. And I was like, well, that's not what you want. You make that mistake against Andrade, I think he could do the same thing. So maybe submission, but I can also see that submission prop at plus 450 if he gets that type of control. That is a big if. Realistically, I like Said Nurmagomedov, man. I think we could see a TKO here, man. I honestly do. I think Andrade, he's only been finished one time via KO in his career, so it's going to be easier said than done. And you saw the resilience in the Morozov fight. So I think the decision prop is probably the best bet. But you can go across the board with Nurmagomedov. That's the scary part. That's why it's hard to bet on this dude, because he can knock you out, he could submit you, or he could just outpoint you. Now, he's coming off of back-to-back finishes, right? First round guillotine against Cody Stamen, which is just ridiculous, right? That's very fantastic. And then the knockout of Mark Striegel, which was just nasty because he came in, right? I think he came in off a shot. He got countered and got his face punched into the mat for like 10 shots uncontested. So 3 finished victories, man. 2 TKOs and 1 submission in his last 5, brother. I don't know, man. What are you taking, bro? What are you taking for this Said Nurmagomedov?
I'm going to take the TKO. I can see a submission for the exact same way we got a submission on Cody Stamen. He gets him hurt, shoots in, leaves his neck available, chokes you out, guillotine. But I don't know if Silva de Andrade is going to rush in for a takedown. I feel like if he's going to rush in, he's going to rush in with the hands blitzing out, trying to knock your head off. And that's going to lead to the TKO win for Nurmagomedov. That's what I'm taking. Nurmagomedov, TKO. I'm going to say round, what's the over under? 2, 1.5?
2.5.
2.5. Okay. I'm going to go the under, man. I'm going to go early round 2.
Okay. Oh, man. I can't do the same thing that I did last week and just go decisions all across the board as much as I want to, man. So I'll take the I'm going submission, man. I'll take the submission prop. I will take the submission prop here on Said Nurmagomedov against Douglas Silva de Andrade. I will take the under here because the under, so 2.5 rounds, the under is -130, the over is +100, brother. So the odds makers think that this one's ending in a finish. So I will rock with Nurmagomedov here, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough ask, but if he could pull it off, man, that'll be impressive. So that's Said Nurmagomedov for the win, -260 money line, or you can dig in on that TKO or submission prop, +285 for TKO, +325 for the submission. All right, AJ. Now, this is a pretty straightforward fight. These men are fighting for their jobs here. I think it's fair to say, right? You have a Jared Vanderaa who has lost, 4 in a row? Something like that. 3 in a row, 4 in a row. Chase Sherman kind of in the same boat, 3 or 4 in a row. Chase Sherman, he's 3-9 in the UFC, brother. I think Jared Vanderaa is 1-4, if I'm not mistaken. So what this means is that this is the toughest part. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a big fan of Chase Sherman. I'm a huge fan of Chase Sherman because I love the style. I love the motorcycle persona. I love his Muay Thai. I love his ability to confront anybody and anybody. I mean, if you look at his last 5, dude fought Jake Collier, right? The hybrid, the hybrid heavyweight that not a lot of guys want to fight. Parker Porter, Andrei Arlovsky, Ike Villanueva, and Alexander Romanov. If you talk about a hit list, that is a hit list. And he's not a real bona fide heavyweight. Like, he's not the biggest guy in the world. But then Jared Vanderaa, I mean, listen, man, he was beating Alexei Oleinik until he wasn't in his last fight. So that speaks volumes. Lost a split decision to Andrei Arlovsky. He got knocked out by Romanov. Has a big win over Justin Tafa and another loss to Sergey Spivak. So AJ, this is the theme here. The theme is Jared Vanderaa has lost basically every single one of his fights except the Andrei Arlovsky fight in the UFC to grapplers. When he fights a striker, that's when he has the most success. When he fights a dude who's willing to just stand and bang, that's when he has that success. That's when he has the advantage because he could grapple too. Chase Sherman, I mean, he's fought just the mix of dudes who can strike, grapple, but when it comes down to striking, he's kind of been outstruck by a lot of these dudes. However, AJ, I think Vanderaa, the smart thing for him, because he needs a win on the board, I think he just grapples this fight, bro. And I think that that's going to be the catalyst right here. Chase Sherman has clearly been fed to the dogs by the UFC. He gets another opportunity, stepped in on short notice against Alexander Romanov or whatnot. They gave him a new contract, I'm guessing. But it just seems like a long shot to get a dub here against a very talented Jared Vanderaa, who opened at -175, is looking closer to -200 right here. So it's not the largest odd discrepancy. But if Chase Sherman was going to win, my man, I mean, it has to come via TKO, right?
It has to. It has to. I don't even see him getting a points win right here, just because Vanderaa is crafty. He's a veteran, and I think who has more UFC fights. Yeah, it's crazy because Sherman has more UFC fights, but I feel like Vanderaa is just more well-rounded and been in the fight game a little bit longer. Chase Sherman, coming from bare knuckles, I feel like is a huge detriment to him because he just wants like that style of fight, man, standing there and bang. And when you do that with a lot of other fighters, it's just they have more skills. And I feel like Vanderaa, he's more well-rounded. We might see a boring heavyweight fight here where Vanderaa just takes him to the ground, beats him up, gets the finish, goes home. Or, we might see a little bit of back and forth, but I'm expecting Vanderaa to play the smart route, get the fight to the ground and get this thing over with and get Sherman, going on the road, man.
Yeah, I think that he does basically what Alexander Romanov did in his last fight to Chase Sherman. You just get the takedown, go for the Americana, go for the key lock, whatever the case, and just get in and get out. You need the win here. Both dudes need a massive win, so that's why it's a little harder to bet, to be honest, because Chase Sherman could come out crafty as hell, crafty as we've ever seen him, man. This is a must-win for him, and there's nothing scarier, AJ. There's nothing scarier than a man who suffers adversity time and time again and keeps coming back, who keeps moving forward. That's like Korean zombie style, you know what I mean? It's just like you just keep walking forward. It's like, how does this dude keep coming? And that's the thing, man. I guarantee you, Chase Sherman never counts himself out. I can guarantee you that. So that's why that indomitable will, you have to respect it. All respect for Chase Sherman. I just think Jared Vanderaa is too well-rounded of a fighter, and I do think that we could see one of two things. He could also see just a quick blast double and ground and pound for a quick finish. You know what I mean? We could also see that. But I think that submission prop is juicy, AJ. I think it's juicy, and I like that submission prop. And I think I'm going to go for that submission prop, that plus 550 Jared Vanderaa. I think that if you look at the ability for him to take Alexei Oleinik's back, have hooks in, work for a choke. Yeah, you ended up getting reversed. You ended up getting choked out. But what did he do immediately after, AJ? He goes to the back, says, hey, Alexei, can you show me what was that choke you were working on? Show me the choke. I want to learn that, right? So you're still working, okay, grappling. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I like the submission prop for Jared Vanderaa at plus 550. Over and under here, AJ, is 2.5 rounds, and I'm taking the under on that one. I think that this is going to be kind of one-way traffic more or less, but I'm hoping for a very competitive fight. How do you see it?
I'm right there with you. I'm not gonna take the submission prop, even though the thing is juicy, man. I like it a lot. I'm gonna take the TKO prop. I think Vanderaa gonna shoot in for the double, blast double, get in the ground and pound, smash style all day, then go back to eating healthy and living life, man. I think either way, it's going to be not a one. Man, I'm hoping for not a one-sided fight. I can see it happening, but just the fan in me for Chase Sherman hopes there's an actual scrap here to be had. But like I said, man, I'm taking Jared Vanderaa TKO, and I'm going early, round 1.
All right, so that's the under. So we got 2 unders in a row right there. Should be a fun one in the heavyweight division. Now, this is actually a bout that was on the prelims. It was the featured prelim. But given that one of our main card bouts got canceled on, I'm trying to remember which one it was. I don't remember exactly. I don't think it was David Onama. Either way, they got bumped up to the main card, man. And we have some star power. We have some name value here. Cynthia Calvillo versus Nina Nunes. And this is what was interesting to me. So Cynthia Calvillo, right, former strawweight, hasn't really found too much success in the flyweight division, yet she makes another return to the flyweight division. And I think it's interesting because she's number 11. Nina Nunes is number 7, but Cynthia Calvillo gets the A side. So I'm like, how does that work? Generally, if you're higher in the rankings, you get that spot, but I don't know. Either way, AJ, there's one thing that I have to point out here, and it's that Nina Nunes has not been in great form as of late. Her last loss to Mackenzie Dern, she got submitted in the first round, armbar. I mean, I think everybody except me saw it coming because she's Nina Ansaroff, man. This is a legend. This is not a legend, but she's game. You know what I mean? 4-4 in the UFC, 10-7 overall. So the record isn't indicative of like the level that she can perform at, but she's legit, and she's married to the lioness Amanda Nunes. You have that in your back pocket always. Now, I always said this, and I said the same thing about Mackenzie Dern, right? You get a one-fight grace period, in my opinion, post-pregnancy. One fight where things probably aren't going to go right because you just did something miraculous. You just gave birth to a child. Okay, now you had the time. She's been coaching The Ultimate Fighter, all that. Now you have time to get back to the drawing board, get back to feeling like yourself. I'm expecting a reinvigorated, a legit game as ever Nina Nunes. Now, can we say the same thing about a Cynthia Calvillo, who, to no other excuse, just has been in rough form, man. 3-fight losing streak, got stopped by Andrea Lee. It was a corner stoppage. Got stopped by Jessica Andrade at UFC 266, and then lost a vicious decision against Caitlin Chikagian. Only win in the flyweight division has been against Jessica Ai, who is now retired, AJ. So you tell me, in terms of form, you have Nina Nunes, who has been in rough form, but Cynthia Calvillo has been in rough form too. I don't want to say they're fighting for their job, but how do you see this fight playing out?
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I don't think they're fighting for the job. I hope not anyway, but that's where the cards are leading. And unfortunately, momentum is a hell of a thing in this industry. And Calvillo's on a hell of a downward slide right now. I'm with you. I think Nina Nunes can kind of come back, revitalize, kind of reinvigorate herself and find who she's going to be in the 125-pound division. Train with the Lioness, if she's not utilizing that and utilizing all the stuff that's being given to her, I don't even know how to describe it. It's a bad thing. Like it's the worst thing that you could possibly do to not utilize that. So I'm expecting her to come in sharp, ready, just a whole new fighter, not a whole new fighter, but like a whole better version of herself is what I'm expecting out of Nina Nunes. I hope we get it, man. And Calvillo, as much as she is on that downward slide, as much as she is, kind of solidified herself as that middle of the pack fighter. Sometimes that's what you need the most to tell yourself to kick your ass in gear and actually start scrapping like you used to scrap. Because, man, she could be fighting for her job right here. And I think it's one of those ones where, sure, she may not be a specialist. She's more well-rounded. But she has had those times in her career where now, the chips are down. You're back against the wall. You got to let the animal out. You got to fight. You got to be the dog in the cage. Unfortunately, man, she's going up against a girl who's also in that same kind of boat where she's like, okay, it's either time to put up or shut up. It's either fight style or mom life. Which one do you want? And I think she's going to come out and be ready to scrap. I think we're going to see a very entertaining fight. We'll see who actually performs better, but I'm expecting Nina Nunes to show up in great form.
So what do you make of it, AJ, that Cynthia Calvillo, who used to fight at strawweight, she's 5'4", 64-inch reach, Nina Nunes, who this is her first flyweight bout in the UFC, actually, man. So this is why I'm feeling a little troubled about this bout, just because Cynthia Calvillo has been struggling, I think, with size and with strength. But Nina Nunes, she's 5'5", 64-inch reach. And she's been a strawweight this entire time. So now it's like you get finally that smaller opponent, but they're still comparable in size and strength. I mean, do you think that's going to play a pretty major factor?
I don't think so as much because the only thing I think about it is Nina Nunes has been practicing with the Lioness, like actually doing the grappling, probably getting grappling against bigger opponents. So she'll have that strength and that size. Calvillo, she's felt a lot bigger, so maybe we might see some strength, differentiation right here. I don't really play into it. Do you?
It's tough, man, just because if there's one thing that Nina Nunes has put on display throughout the course of her career, it's a history of being unable to stuff takedowns and being unable to get back to her feet quickly when she gets taken down. I mean, she got taken down by Tatiana Suarez, who is arguably, like I said, if she was healthy, man, she'd probably be the champion right now, but got taken down by her a million times. Claudia Gadelha took her down a million times. Randa Marcos, you know what I mean? Like and yeah, she got a win against Gadelha. She got a win against Marcos. She even got a win against Angela Hill. But when Mackenzie Dern wanted to do anything, she basically, she handled business right there, and that was another strawweight bout right there. So I just find it a little troubling because Cynthia Calvillo, though she hasn't had success as of late, she's, it's not like they're completely one-way traffic bouts, except the Jessica Andrade fight. That one totally was. But I can see this happening, AJ, and this is why this worries me. I can see Cynthia Calvillo blast double because that's her whole entire game plan. Walk forward, throw 1-2 so she can grab you, put you on your back, and just holding Nunes down and just winning an easy decision, kind of the same way Mackenzie Dern would have done if she didn't get that submission attempt, you know what I mean? So that's more or less the way that I can see this fight playing out, but I do think if Nina Nunes can keep the fight standing, we're going to get an Andrea Lee versus Cynthia Calvillo all over again. Because Nunes is a superior kickboxer, right? She got that traditional Taekwondo background, man, so when she chambers up those kicks, she can do damage with them. Cynthia Calvillo, I think, has been a step slow in the flyweight division, and given that Nina Nunes is really a strawweight moving up to flyweight, I think the speed is going to be another issue for her. So this fight could play out a bunch of different ways, man. But ultimately here, I think what we're talking about is momentum more than anything else. And I think that sometimes that is the other factor of the fight game that a lot of people, they don't really take a look into. You can look at numbers, you can look at past performances, but let's look at momentum. And right now, both of them are on a bad streak. It's more about who wants it, who wants it more. And let me ask you here, AJ. I'm actually going to pull it up. I'm going to pull it up so we can take a look at it at the same time and we can make our decision right here. If we're looking at the Cynthia Calvillo, right, and we're looking at her last couple of fights, she had one takedown against Andrea Lee, right? She has no takedowns against Andrade, one against Caitlin Chikagian, 4 against Jessica Ai in the fight that she won, 3 against Marina Rodriguez in a draw. And then when you really look at it, man, like she had more of a history of takedowns prior to this flyweight run. So given that she hasn't been able to land the takedown, I think that's why she's been losing her fights. Does she land the takedown in this fight? And if she does, is it solidified or is it just a quick takedown and then Nunes gets back up? What do you think?
Man, I do think Calvillo gets a takedown because I think she's going to get back to those ways of actually, fighting her fight. Yeah. Now, does she get the takedown and how does Nina Nunes pop up from it? That's where I'm a little bit more unsure. I'm hoping for a fast pop-up, but, when things get going and you're fighting, you really do perform to your lowest level of training, and Nina Nunes likes to go likes to stay down and doesn't have that pop-up in her. So as much as I want to say, butt's going to hit the mat, she's going to pop right back up, I don't necessarily see it happening until we're proven otherwise.
And that's kind of the scary part about it, because when you come into this fight and you see Calvillo, 3-fight losing streak, pretty rough. I mean, she got stopped in 2 of those fights, and she's a -150 favorite. Yeah, Nina Nunes hasn't had a win since Claudia Gadelha, who is now retired, right? So that doesn't look good. And the win before that, Randa Marcos, no longer in the UFC. That doesn't look good. The win before that is Angela Hill, who's not been in the greatest form recently. That doesn't look great. This is just tough, man, because we could be betting on the old Nina Ansaroff that we remember, or this is just the new Nina Nunes post-pregnancy. This is going to be the choice. Everyone has to make a choice in life. This is the choice. Do you want to be a fighter, or do you just want to be the mom? And I think she's going to make that choice, man. So let's break it down, bread and butter. I like Nina Nunes here. I'm going to be honest with you, bro. I think the most likely outcome is a decision. This is the women's flyweights after all. Most likely that is how these outcomes play out. Yeah, Calvillo has been finished in the last couple of fights, but like I said, I'm gonna go the over on this one. The over on this fight, AJ, looks like 2.5 rounds. I will take the over for Nina Nunes. How are you playing it?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm taking the over. I'm taking the decision for Nina Nunes. Seems like the right way to go. Maybe you throw it on that money line because she could get a naga. And the way Calvillo fights, sometimes, like you said, even in the Andrea Lee, her corner finished the fight for her. So it could be a possibility that a finish happens here. Me personally, I'm leading toward that decision. That was a plus 190. Seems a little bit better than the plus 130, but either way, I'm think this fight's going to be a long one. That's what we're in store for, Derek.
Absolutely, brother. And with that being said, looks like we can move on to our last bout, or I should say the first bout of the main card right here. And this is a banger right here. You got the OG, Michael Johnson, coming off of a major knockout victory against Alan Patrick. But you're also fighting Jamie Mullarkey. Come on, brother. You know my man. Listen, he got finished by Jalen Turner in his last fight. And let's be honest, in comparison to what Brad Riddell did to this man, he survived a lot longer. It was much more competitive. Was it really? Not really. But Jalen Turner, clearly, 5-fight win streak, 5-finish win streak. That man's a different level. He just knocked out Devontae Smith, knocked out Kama Worthy. Yeah, you lost to the smile killer Faraz Ziam. Yeah, you lost to Brad Riddell. Okay, that's fine. But I think that even though Jamie Mullarkey is 2-3 in the UFC, the man is so much better than what his record indicates. Now, Michael Johnson, you just broke a pretty massive losing streak to get that big win much needed. However, you think Jamie Mullarkey, man, you're going against the young chiseled veteran, or the young dude, Jamie Mullarkey, the hungry young gun. I think it's going to play out a little bit differently. Now, we do know Michael Johnson looks great until he doesn't. That's like the story of every fight. Like, he's like whooping that ass until something happens, and then inevitably he gets caught and then gets rocked, and here we go. But if it comes to pure striking, Johnson can win this fight. If you're Jamie Mullarkey, do you keep it pure striking? No. The man averages almost 3.5 takedowns a fight. If you're Jamie Mullarkey, get this fight to the ground and pound, get in, get the hell out. How do you see this fight playing out, bro? Because Michael Johnson, I can see an upset happening, but that's only if Jamie Mullarkey I just want to sit there and box with you. So what do you think?
If Jamie Mullarkey comes to fight with his ego, man, I can see the scrap happening, man. I can see Michael Johnson having a time. And he's Michael Johnson, he's very streaky. He'll get on losses, but then something like that happens where a young guy comes in, thinks, oh, I'm going to knock this dude out. I'm going to, have this name on my belt, blah, blah, blah. But Michael Johnson's always dangerous, man. And he's a good wrestler. Yeah, better at the striking, I think, as well, and a little bit better of a counter striker. But he can get the wrestling going. And if Mullarkey comes in with those hands, I think you might see something a little bit different. But to me, personally, I think Mullarkey's going to do the same thing he always does, man. Get the fist flying a little bit, shoot for the takedown, get it going, get the fight done, get back to the back of the locker room, go home. Make this one a quick, easy one. And I don't necessarily know if they're doing Mullarkey a favor. Do you think they're doing Jamie Mullarkey a favor with this fight? Because you listed off his, you said he's 2-3. You listed off a lot of those fighters that he's fighting. Those are a lot of top dogs in there. For Zion, all those fighters. And Mullarkey, he's new in the UFC. Now he's getting Michael Johnson. They're throwing homeboy to the dogs. But if you can prove he's a real deal, I think it'll be beneficial for him. But do you think the UFC brass is doing him a favor, fighting him against Michael Johnson and these vets like this?
This is a favor because Michael Johnson has the largest name value with, I'm not going to say that he's the easiest fight because he's not an easy fight by any stretch of the imagination, but Jalen Turner, Devontae Smith, Brad Riddell. I mean, come on, brother. You're fighting unheralded dudes who are super high level versus the high name, the big, huge name who isn't the same Michael Johnson that he was when he fought Khabib. You know what I mean? This isn't the same guy. So that's why I do think that they're doing him a favor because you have the most potential to move up in the rankings if you get a big win, a spectacular win. Then again, it's not a good spot because if you lose, you just lost to Michael Johnson. Or they could say, all right, fair, Michael Johnson, you know what I mean? He's back. But like I said, he just hasn't been in the greatest form as of late. Now, you have a 27-year-old versus a 36-year-old, man. This is the big story. We have the in with the new, out with the old. We're having the rite of passage fights here. And I think Jamie Mullarkey, once again, I think he's much better than his record indicates. So when it comes down to a pure kickboxing match, Michael Johnson, he's going to give you real problems. MMA match, Jamie Mullarkey, man. He's going to give him some fits. Now, here's the thing, AJ. Michael Johnson has been knocked out twice in his career. He's been submitted 9 times. Jamie Mullarkey has 3 submission wins on his record. However, in his last 5, his 2 wins, right, because 2-3 in his last 5, his 2 wins have come via knockout, both sides. Do we see a knockout here? Do we see a submission here? Did Jamie Mullarkey ride out just a nasty decision victory? How are you seeing this play out?
Man, I'm seeing this one play out. Ground games going down all day for Jamie Mullarkey. I kind of like that plus 450 submission. I mean, that's looking a little tasty to me right there, just because of the way Mullarkey knows that you can't lose. You can't drop one to Michael Johnson. I mean, no disrespect to what's the Phenom, I'll get it right now. The menace, Michael Johnson, man, because he's a vet and a name value is right there. But if you drop one to him, a lot of people are looking like, damn, like really, like Michael Johnson, like okay, he's old school, but he's still very dangerous. I think Mullarkey's going to come in, get the fight to the ground, get it going. I like that submission prop a lot, especially because, like you said, Michael Johnson's been submitted quite a few times in his past. See, what is it exactly?
9 times,
Nine submissions. 9 times, bro. 9 times. I think Mullarkey gets it done right there. What about you?
I like what you're saying. It sounds good. It rolls off the tongue well. But when we're looking at it, he hasn't notched a submission win since 2015, bro. It's been 7 years since my man got a submission. And these are rear naked chokes. So I think that he's more prone, more apt to saying, choke, huh? Why can I do that when I can just smash your face in? You know what I mean? I don't know where Jamie Mullarkey is from, but he sounds like he's from Boston. You know what I'm saying? Let me take a look. Let me actually take a quick peek at Jamie Mullarkey, see where he's fighting at. Oh, he's an Australian. How did I forget? He is absolutely an Australian. So, yeah, he's not going to want to submit you. He's going to punch your fucking face in. Come on, bro. So, yeah, Jamie Mullarkey is going to do Jamie Mullarkey things. This is going to be a tough one here. I'm not going to lie to you here, AJ. Man, there's so many ways you can go here. You can get a decision victory here over Michael Johnson, who could just kind of hang tight. Does Michael Johnson have a tendency to quit in a fight? I don't really think so. But then again, you never really know. Jamie Mullarkey, what are you going with, brother? What's your final tally on this one? How did Jamie Mullarkey get it done? Did you say the submission or the TKO?
I'm going with the submission. I'm taking the bigger shot of the two. I'm going with a submission. I still think he's going to get the work done with his hands, the ground and pound. And I think Michael Johnson he's not a quitter. He's not going to turn and like give his neck up. Yeah. But I do think there's going to be a submission presented, and Mullarkey might take that, get back on his ways. But I could also see the TKO happen. And I'm going to stick with the submission. And I'm going to say round 3. So the over.
Oh, you're taking the over.
Is that the over?
That is the over. It's 2.5, right, for the over and under, my man. So to go over 2.5 rounds, we're looking at over 12 minutes and 30 seconds of fight time. So if that's what you're thinking, that is the over. I'm gonna take the TKO here for Jamie Mullarkey, brother. He does have bricks of hands, my man. Like he has incredible strength. Being able to put out Devontae Smith, being able to put out a Kama Worthy, just straight knock these dudes out, man. It goes to show that he has those bricks, and if he can get into a TKO ground and pound situation against Michael Johnson, I think that's his best bet. But I'm gonna take the under on the 2.5 rounds. I do want you to know the over and under plus 125 for the over, minus 155 for the under. So the odds makers think that Jamie Mullarkey gets it done in the distance, brother. So with that being said, folks, that is your main card analysis. Once again, our lone point of contention is the Caio Borralho versus Armen Petrosyan fight. Other than that, Rafael Fiziev, Said Nurmagomedov, Jared Vanderaa, Nina Nunes, and Jamie Mullarkey. Those are your locks for UFC Vegas 58, folks. So do not miss out. Run to your local sports book and get the thing going. You know what time it is. But we've been here for long enough here, AJ. So do want to remind you, good folks, man, this is the outro. We just got a couple of links here below, and you can't really click on them, but it can definitely point you in the direction that you want to head to. YouTube, Free Thinkers Club. So it's youtube.com/Free Thinkers Club. That's where you can find us. Or just type in Bloody Water Podcast. Either one works. TikTok. That is the one right here. So, folks, let's just have a discussion right here, AJ. I told you, I was like, hey, man, we on TikTok. We on all the socials, right? I will tell you what, and this is for anybody right now. There's a bigger market for MMA fans on TikTok than you would imagine right now. It is pretty massive, especially in video format. So we're seeing videos, man, take off, man. 1,200 plays, 700 plays, 800 plays in an hour or whatnot. Instagram, is it a thing of the past? Is it the new Facebook, AJ? What do you think?
I think it's leading that way, Derick. It's leading that way, man. You to go on a lot of people, even the ones, I'm going out, whether I'm talking about, this show or the comedy or whatever, the other side hustles I got going on. They ask, oh, you got a TikTok? I'm always like, damn, am I a boomer? Like, oh shit, man, I might be 31 years old, but shit, am I a boomer, man? I don't have a TikTok. But now, guess what, man? It's popping off, and I think it is the one that's taking over. And I can see that one in the corner, Derick. We streaming on Twitch now too, man. Yes, that's the next big place that's popping off out there. I be on the Twitch scene a lot too, so it's there.
So that is the next play for us, folks, and this is the formal announcement of it. It is yet to be finalized, but it is in the works right here. So what we want to start doing, potential option right here, once time frees up, everything goes accordingly, is that during the fights, maybe during the prelims, maybe during the main card, we'll set up a Twitch stream, and then we can have some live commentary during the fights. It all really just depends, whether it's solo, whether it's us joined together, whether we bring some buddies together, it does not matter, but these are things in the works. So we're giving you the analysis, we're giving you the wagers, money lines, props, we're going over the whole entire fight card here on YouTube, and then you can go catch us over on Twitch, where we can actually give you that in-play live commentary when things aren't going right and you're like, oh shit, reacting, versus when they are hitting and you just counting all your money, you know what I'm saying, on the way to the bank, brushing off your shoulder a little bit. Whether it's TikTok, whether it's Twitch, whether it's YouTube, whether it is Facebook, whether it is anywhere on social media, you know the Bloody Water Podcast is your premier source for all things combat sports. You know what time it is, folks. AJ, my man, love the announcements, love all that. Do you have any last words for the people?
Woo, man, I think the biggest thing I got to say for that small army of almost 400 people sending the follows, man, make sure you share with your friends. You see all the stuff on the bottom that we're trying to get going and kind of push going forward, and it wouldn't be that way if it wasn't for y'all, so we got to say a big thank you. But still, to that point, you know we're going to be here grinding. We know we're going to be here with the work, putting it in, and it's going to be a very fun weekend of fights. So make sure you tune in for the post show, share it with your friends, holler at them, and check out that merch too, man. We still got that merch going all the time. BloodyWaterPodcast.com. It's the hub. It's a place. And like Derick said, soon enough, you're going to be seeing some live, some not live action, but some in action commentary coming from us. So check it out, all the links below. Make sure you get it in and let us know how much money you winning. I know that you're winning some money out there. A lot of my friends hit me up, but make sure you put in the comments so that people actually know we're winning you some cash out here.
That's the key, man. Let us know. And the comment section over on TikTok has been crazy, man. We had posted up a video where we had mentioned, AJ, that Khamzat Chimaev called out Alex Paeta, and I'll tell you, they were not happy about that, man. They was going nuts, man, arguing in the comments, all that. Come join the commentary, man. Join the conversation. That is what the comments are for. But leave more comments. We're already hitting on TikTok, YouTube. Leave some comments. Let us know how you doing, and let us know how we made you some money, how much, all that good stuff. Folks, that is it for us. Catch us next time on Monday on the post show, where we'll be recapping all of the action. Were we right about Fiziev? Were we wrong about Fiziev? Is RDA taking the one last turn of the championship? That'll all be in due time. Folks, that is it for us. Until next time, peace.